The emergency meeting button sat there, red and waiting, but nobody moved toward it. We all stood in the cafeteria, staring at each other through our visors, knowing someone among us had just killed Pink in storage. Black broke the silence with a voice so calm it felt rehearsed, like he'd been planning this moment for hours. He said we didn't need to vote, we didn't need to argue, we just needed one simple rule to survive.
When you walk the walk, you talk the talk, and when you talk the talk, you walk the walk, you talk it like you walk.
No more pairs, he said, and the words hung in the recycled air like a death sentence wrapped in logic. Everyone nodded because it made sense. Pairs create patterns, and patterns get you killed in a place like this. The ship felt different the moment we scattered, like it had been waiting for us to be alone all along. I went to admin because muscle memory is just fear pretending to be routine, and my hands knew the card swipe before my brain did. The hallway stretched longer than it should have, every footstep echoing against metal walls that suddenly felt too close. I could hear the hum of the engines below, steady and mechanical, the only sound that proved the ship was still alive. When I reached admin, the room was empty, but the lights were dimmer than usual, like someone had turned down the brightness just enough to notice. I swiped the card too fast, and the machine rejected it with that familiar beep that always made me want to throw something.
Help me! Help me!
I laughed, alone in that room, because of course the machine would betray me when I was already on edge. That's when I heard the vent cover rattle, just once, like something had brushed against it from the inside. The admin table lit up on its own, the digital display showing crew positions as little colored dots scattered across the ship's map. I watched the dots move in real time, yellow in electrical, green in medbay, blue somewhere in the lower engine. Then one of the dots split in two, right there on the screen, like it was multiplying or glitching or doing something dots shouldn't do. I leaned closer to the screen and the dots started overlapping, merging, disappearing and reappearing in places they couldn't possibly reach that fast. I whispered Yellow's name into the empty room, asking if she could see what I was seeing, but the comms were silent. The lights flickered once, twice, then settled into a dimness that made every shadow look like it was moving. I decided right then that admin was no longer safe, that nowhere was safe, and I needed to move before the vent opened.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
I ran toward the hallway, my boots clanging against the metal floor, the sound chasing me like footsteps that weren't my own. Electrical was dark when I arrived. Not broken dark, but intentional dark. Like someone had flipped the breakers just to see who would come fix them. I could barely see the outline of the electrical panels, their switches and wires blending into shadows that seemed deeper than they should be. That's when I heard the voice behind me, soft and familiar, saying I shouldn't say names when I'm alone. It was Yellow's voice, but it wasn't Yellow, because her voice didn't usually sound like it was coming from two places at once. I spun around and saw nothing but the doorway, empty and waiting, with the hallway lights casting long shadows into the room. The lights and electrical came back on suddenly, flooding the room with harsh white light that made me squint and stumble backward. The room was empty, completely empty, except for the vent in the corner that was wide open like a mouth that had just finished eating. I could see the darkness inside the vent, deeper than it should be, and I swear I heard something moving in there. The reactor alarm started blaring, red lights spinning across every wall, pulling everyone back toward the rules we'd just abandoned. I ran to Reactor and found Black already there, alive and calm, his hand hovering over the panel like he'd been waiting for me. We didn't speak, just entered our codes in sync, the muscle memory of survival kicking in despite everything. Then Yellow walked in through the other door, also alive, also calm, but something about her shadow on the wall didn't match her movements. Her shadow moved a half-second too late, like it was deciding whether to follow her or do something else entirely. Black saw it too. I could tell by the way his hand moved toward the emergency button on his suit. That's when the vent in Reactor opened with a metallic screech, and something dark and fast came out before any of us could move. Yellow screamed once, a sound that cut off too quickly, and then there was just the wet snap of something breaking. Silence filled the reactor room, heavy and complete, broken only by the fading alarm and our ragged breathing. Two of us left, standing in a room with a body that was still warm, no pairs and no witnesses to what just happened. Black looked at me with eyes I couldn't read, his voice steady when he said we had one final task to complete. Trust, he said, the word falling between us like a coin flip that would decide who walks out of this room. I understood then what no more pairs really meant. It wasn't about safety or patterns or survival strategy.
I'm fed up with your bullshit. Cut the crap.
It was about making the choice clearer, removing every excuse and witness until only the truth remained. Black took a step toward the door, and I had 1 second to decide if I would follow him or run the other way. 1 second to trust someone in a place where trust had been dead since the moment Pink's body hit the floor. So tell me, who do you trust when there's no one left to watch and nowhere left to hide?